got the flag issue.
On this side it was last
Yeah.
night. The fruit fly catchers don't seem to be working so well. These little red apples.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Okay.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order this morning. We have all members of council are here this morning, along with our CAO, Deepak Joshi, and we have Kayla taking our minutes today. Heather is away. And with that, I will ask for a resolution to adopt the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted and circulated with the noted additions. Communication for action, 5.3 Selkirk Regional Health Center, 5.4 Narrow Fire Hall, 5.5 Manitoba Watershed District, and 5.6 Association of Rural Municipalities.
Can I move, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, Councillor Horvis seconds. Any additions or deletions to what we already have on our agenda and these additions that are being brought forward? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We'll do one more resolution, and that is the confirmation of minutes from our last meeting, which was August the 27th. So if I could have that resolution, please.
Resolve the minutes of August 27, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion or corrections or changes to those minutes from our last meeting? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so with that, we will go to our delegations and welcome Mr. Bazan. Thank you very much for coming out today. I kind of missed that you were going to be here this morning, so I'll turn it over to Deepak. I'm not sure if Deepak has anything to add, or if you're just going to jump in to tell us what the good news that you have for us this morning.
I'm here.
I have nothing to add, Madam Mayor. We always look forward to having Member of Parliament attend our council meetings, so welcome MP James Bazan.
Thanks, Deepak. And council, it's always a pleasure to be able to join all of you. And I am getting ready, of course, to go back to Ottawa on Saturday. We have caucus on Sunday, and we start sitting on Monday. So we're back into the thick of things. And of course, we've had, you know, some movement and coalitions falling apart, and maybe new relationships starting up between the Liberal and the Bloc parties. So. You know, it's always interesting, never boring in Ottawa, so I always say it's a good place for a guy with ADD. So it's always a moving ball. But anyway, every year I try to get around to see you guys, 12 to 18 months, and hit the 3 council meetings today to find out what's you're hearing in the writing, what your plans are, what is happening in your communities that I should be aware of, so I can do a better job representing our constituents and your ratepayers in Ottawa. And so it's more about finding out what your concerns are, what you're hearing on the ground, and what's happening in development, you know, new businesses starting up, new communities getting built. We see a lot of that happening. How, you know, one thing that we are very interested in from a federal standpoint right now is new housing starts. The housing shortage is a huge issue, and how we're going to deal with that. And of course, the main role that you play as council in improving those developments and those building permits that are required to get those houses built. So that's where I'm at. Of course, if you've got other concerns, issues that you want to bring forward that we deal with at the federal level, I know Glenn and I talk often, as Robert and I do too, in the past, on the issues around firearms. Those are things that are near and dear to my heart as well.
Okay, thanks for that, James. I think I'm just going to open it up unless Deepak wants to start with anything in particular. I'll open it up for council, and then I'll let Deepak finish it off for us. So go ahead, Councillor Blanc.
I can't remember the name of that app that we applied for federally for that housing.
Affordability.
Yeah.
Housing accelerator.
Yeah. I think what was frustrating for us is Deepak put together a wonderful package that met all the criteria. We came up with, I think, gold stars on almost everything. The package looked great. We looked at it and went, wow, it really met all the... Everybody said, no, right in saying that, or it came back that we weren't getting?
You're correct. I think if there's any comments that we can make from the member of Parliament representing us would be, I would take a close look at which communities received the half applications, and some would argue that they were all in Liberal ridings.
Yeah, so we know that for a fact. We also know that it was heavily geared towards Ontario, more so than any other province. Every jurisdiction, if it was to be broken down, I was actually just looking at some other charts as well, including natural resource funding for different projects across the country and other infrastructure programs, is that if things were paid out on a per capita basis, Manitoba's not even getting 10% of what it should. And it's over allocated towards Ontario specifically. Quebec's pretty much on par. Atlantic Canada is close to par, but Western Canada is getting screwed over. And so, but we also know with the Housing Accelerator Program that it, in the first 3 years, didn't build a single house. So it was really poorly administrated on top of that. And it's only in the last several months that they started pushing it out hard because they're heading towards an election. So that's the motivating factor there, and again, it's all into where they think they're at risk and liberal rights.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, when those conversations come up at your end in Ottawa there, and I'm sure you guys chin wag to where we're about this, I mean, you say it when you come here as you're here representing the riding, and that to me, that national program that came out where your province got stiffed again,
Yeah.
and I know you will, because I know you speak quite vocally there, and I wanted to bring it up to just make sure that it is a sharp point on your end, that you know, this is what I met with the folks in the riding, this is what they're saying, Manitoba really again got nothing, and so it's important to us. I mean,
Yeah, that's why these conversations are important, because I often will use them in my examples, in my speeches in the House or at community.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because when that came out, it was, oh boy, they're concerned about housing, they really want to make this work, and the application was very arduous for our administrator to put together. It took forever, and it was a darn good application, and that's what's frustrating.
So send me a copy of that book, would you do that? Sure, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna add one comment. I know that, you know, when DPAC was putting it all together, like, we have people that are interested in coming here, but of course, everybody wants to get a little bit of help. And when we put that all together, and then we got absolutely zero, I mean, then you know, you're turning around and saying to your developers that want to come here, geez, we didn't get any funding, kind of thing. So, you know, so it's very, very frustrating on our end here when we put in all that, as Rob said, all that hard work, and then you barely get acknowledged that you've done this.
Yeah,
So.
and often it's more than just hard work, it's also cost dollars to develop those applications. I know on the infrastructure side, you have to engineer it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta get environmental licenses and approvals, and you go through all that cost and hard work, and they get turned down at the end of the day, because they're pumping it all out in a partisan manner.
Yeah.
Not right. I know, like, our smaller rural municipalities in this riding, a lot of them just give up on making applications, just a waste of time and effort.
No,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. Glenn, did you have your hand up?
Just to add to that, like, we were really excited because this was a win-win.
Yeah.
Like, we met all the criteria, we figured for sure, or myself anyway. Yeah, it was very interesting.
And you think about, you know, the role that you guys play here as both being part of the capital region and representing an area that's also known for its beautiful landscape, including the East Beaches and a retirement destination for a lot of people. That development has to take place if we're going to ease the housing shortage that we have. And so it's important that communities like St. Clements are supported in their efforts. And that's one thing, if you listen to it, you know, our main talking points as a party heading towards potential election is to build the homes, right? And that we want to reward municipalities that are getting houses built, that they're not standing in the way of development. that the NIMBYs out there aren't running the, you know, not in my backyard. And I run across these guys all the time, especially in Winnipeg, like they come up and will.
Well, they're here too.
They're here, they don't want development, but guess what?
Well, they do, but not here.
We've got a population that has far outpaced demand for quite some time because of, you know, mainly because of uncontrolled immigration caused by the now housing minister, Sean Fraser, is the one that actually took his hands off and wiped his hands and said, okay, let everybody in, we're not even going to screen you. And look at the problems that we have now, from a security standpoint, from the housing shortage, from people coming here legitimately that want to live the Canadian dream and find out it doesn't exist. And they're leaving. And these are a lot of skilled people that we need to help us, you know, continue to build our economy as well as take care of us in the healthcare system. And they're not sticking around, going elsewhere, mainly in the United States.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I think from our perspective too, it was, as Glenn had said, we met the criteria. We did spend some money because we did a housing study. Like we did do what needed to be done. And our view, sure, okay, so I kind of understand that initially the money should have went to cities, and I kind of get that, right? Because that's kind of where the pressure is. But then at the same time, our perspective was about choice. Because not everybody wants to live in the city. Not everybody wants to live in a condo. Not everybody wants to live on, what is it? 8 housing units per lot or something that they were putting in the city.
4.
Okay, 4, sorry. Our view was we were trying to grow our settlement centers as well as giving people choice. So if you wanted a 1-acre lot or a 2-acre lot or a 4-acre lot, that's what our plan was. And I think when you look at people coming here, that gives them the choice that they want, right? Not everybody wants exactly the same thing, and that's how we approached it. So it's a shame.
Yeah, and you look at Winnipeg specifically, and I've been in there doing quite a bit of door knocking with the by-election on right now. You know, there's parts of the city that are getting really tired, really old, the infrastructure's slowing down, the housing is not what people, I think, make as a primary purchase as a residence, right? And yeah, there's some beautiful condo buildings going up, and we do have density in the urban centers, but you're right, not everybody wants to live like that. And you know, I'm one of them. I live in a condo in Ottawa, but I'm sure glad I got a farm to get back to every weekend. Because I'm a country boy.
Go ahead, Councillor Horvis.
Yeah, just to add on to what Rob started here, all that criteria we met, and then there was one there that was hard for any municipality to meet, was the First Nations part of it. And we have 2 First Nations that we deal with, Broken Head and Penguins. So, like Glenn said, we were really excited about that part of it because we thought for sure we were going to be in there because there was nobody else. And there was hardly any municipalities, like you said, that put in applications because they just couldn't meet all that. You know, so it was.
And you could, both Penguins and Broken Head have land claims that I think have been settled now, right? And they're closer to the city, they're on the edge of the perimeter there, and they'd be great for housing development. And I know that
Well, I think that land's more designated for industry.
Very
That's what they
cool.
want to start there because they want to start urban businesses there.
Yeah.
That's what they're geared for. Those.
but I know in Vancouver, I forget which First Nation it is, but they were able, in a matter of 2 years, you know, approve and start construction on a number of apartment buildings. In a matter of 10 acres, they're adding like 6,000 residential units. That is incredible, and that's the type of build that we need, especially in urban centers. And so I look at, you know, what has been dragging on and on and on, you know, with the old Capital Barracks and Treaty 1, and they get just taking forever to get that going and developed. Finally, all the military infrastructure there has been, for the most part, removed, but let's get developing that. And, First Nations don't have to jump through the same hoops as US municipalities.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Vasquez.
Just to be clear, one simple thing, we weren't asking for millions. We would have been happy with anything,
Okay.
just anything.
Got nothing.
Not
Actually, we were.
Not even enough.
$18 million.
Well, it would have been easy, of course, but like I say, if it was one, it would have been, wow.
So question for you though, is that you guys gone through the work. You know what it's gonna cost you, and you know what you wanna do. What's the path forward now if it's not gonna be through the housing accelerator?
Should I?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so,
DPAC's been working very hard on this, so he
so
probably
there's been
has
multiple
ideas.
sort of initiatives. So first of all, council did take the significant risk and push against or approve development that was in support of these types of housing. So 110 units were being put on one lot just here in the center for East Selkirk. With another 400 was already with lands that had been developed or a secondary plan that was allowing it in the Lockport settlement area. So there was 400 there, 110 here that were waiting for some level of support and that are still waiting in order to get that work done. With those, so I'll speak to the one in East Selkirk. What was identified was to use some of the funding to update the infrastructure in order to accommodate the development and have reduce any impact to the local community. So what we were looking at was doing some more work on the roads, putting in a roundabout, increasing, putting in more paths and so forth, so the developers weren't having to do that, which would open up additional lands that are already coming to the table, ready to go, but all are waiting for some sort, because there's that gap between building those housing units to meet certain demands, especially in the rural areas, to keep that cost low, because you can't get the same kind of costs as you can in the urban centers, and to pay for that infrastructure. So we said that we would look at doing some of that infrastructure for that road to be done. We've put forward a plan. We've completed the engineering anyways, because we do believe in encouraging that. The developer has received all approvals, and basically the interest rates have had an impact on them to move forward, because it's had an impact on that gap. So we're waiting for the developer to proceed, but we're moving forward with the province of Manitoba on the design on Colville Road here to put the roundabout, do traffic safety improvements, and so forth. So that's millions of dollars of investment that the municipality is going to find a way to put towards it. In Lockport, we've been working closely with the developer in order to accommodate the development. So the first thing was the additional infrastructure we had to increase there. So we've put in regional infrastructure of water and sewer going all the way to Lockport. So a water line has been now tunneled under the floodway, so we have a water line going all the way to Lockport. Twin force mains from Lockport for sewer have been brought over to the local lagoon here, so that we can get both water and sewer capacity there, similar to what we have in East Selkirk. And in Lockport, we've accommodated for that development. We've enhanced the development on existing condos that are there. So this is an opportunity to probably bring in 400 plus units there. With that, we've also been working with the First Nation of Peguis. So there's been some dialogue with Peguis, and there's an opportunity, and this is another ask that we would certainly wish or hope that if you could champion for us, which is the museum that was in Lockport, which is the Kinawasa Museum, which is the Indigenous Museum. It's declared to be demolished, mainly due to mold and other things.
Oh, really?
And so when the federal government came in and expanded the bridge of the Lockport Bridge, there was an opportunity for that museum to now take on, they found well over 2,000 artifacts in the excavation along with 2 bodies. I'm not sure if you're aware of yet. And those 2 bodies were brought over to our area at St. Peter's Church where they were repatriated. And there's an opportunity, so we've been working with Peguis and having dialogue that museum a new museum could be placed on that property. Along with that museum, they could look at off-reserve housing for seniors. So there could be seniors housing, so you could have a high-rise type building right in Lockport in a very walkable community now, that you would have seniors housing, and there was an opportunity to link elders with museum artifacts to talk about what are the benefits and what would these artifacts used for and so forth. So we're working with Peguis on that. They'll be making a request, I think, to the federal government for some support to be able to get the museum. They'll probably make a request to, they're looking at making the request to the provincial government for the land that the museum is sitting on, and they will probably try to manage that. Our hope is to put marriage of the developer and Peguis to work together, and then they can build that along with the rest of that development.
So we're talking just north of the bridge then?
Right by
Just
the
north of the
A&W,
bridge.
just west of the A&W. in Lockport.
Just west of the,
Yeah.
right
Right
there.
there.
yeah.
Let me bring it up for you.
Okay.
So I'll bring up the map of it.
So all those artifacts that they found could have a home, which the home should be on site where they were found. That's where they should go back to.
Yeah, so they're being housed in Winnipeg right now from Public Works Canada. And so what you see here is a densification opportunity. And this is a partnership that we've been working on also. So not only have we brought water and sewer right to this area here, which is also expanding in the area south of here, but the water and sewer specifically in this area allows for these lands here in just north of 44, so behind A&W. So here's the A&W over here. So behind the A&W, all this land to develop, possibility of developing. The opportunity is this. They found that there were some burial mounds here, 2 of them. There was a 3rd and a 4th, but the floodways kind of destroyed those. So there's an opportunity, and the developer has now is willing to give up the land where the burial mounds will be, as well as the land along the river. So this gives an opportunity to have a park all the way around and connecting and giving people the opportunity to deal with those burial mounds. This is where the museum is right here.
Yeah. One more
And so-
over, well, that's it.
That's
Right,
it,
that's
right.
it, sorry.
And so the museum here could be demolished, and then you could put in the high rise here. And if you take a look at this entire area, we have high rises all here. There'd be high rise development along here, along with condos and apartments. And so now that turns into quite a walkable community. Along with that, we've partnered in doing a regional
Who's
plan.
the developer there now?
The developer,
Yeah.
it's Edge Corp.
Edge Corp, yeah.
Who?
Edge Corp.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can get you connected. Keith Merkel.
So similar to what, Truthwaite's done on behind Gaffers there, you got the long views.
But not quite as high,
Not quite as high.
yeah.
But there would be no more bare land condo types, as long as a lot more mixed use to accommodate that kind of opportunity. There's also opportunity for some further development along Mr. Truthwaite's property here.
Okay.
There's some talk, and so the water and sewer is giving us that capacity. So along with that, we've also partnered with Arm of St. Andrews. So now we're looking for support we're going to be tunneling the water line under the river here to bring it over to St. Andrews.
Okay.
So if you know already, St. Andrews has already run a sewer line all the way to the city of Winnipeg
Yep.
from the previous version. Now water can flow, and these lands right here have a potential for quite a bit of development. And that opens up that really has a significant impact as to the settlement area when you take a look at it to its relationship to the city of Winnipeg.
Right.
right? And so there's an opportunity for that type of development that we're looking at. And we're certainly looking for the level of support and working towards it. And that's where a lot of this half funding was going to go towards. So now we're looking at having to invest our own dollars. And we're limited as opposed to trying to accelerate this issue. So we're working with the developer to do the heritage site assessment because we're going to have to run our water lines under there as well,
Anyway.
under the river. So we're looking at partnerships in order to do some of those things together with.
You guys have sewer and water through that whole area though right now, right? So you've already had to deal with the floodway
And just,
That's all been done already.
just that line going under the floodway, that was the first. That's never been done before.
So we put a water line under the floodway. So the water treatment plant is right here.
Yeah.
And so the water treatment plant is running the water line under the floodway, and we put 2 stubs under when the way went in there and tunneled under the floodway. We put 2 stubs. 1 stub is being used now. A second stub is expandable so that we can expand. This has been recognized as a regional water treatment plant, so it should be able to service us and St. Andrews and eventually link with East St. Paul. So we've also had discussions with East St. Paul. So there's resolutions of council between in sharing of water resources between us and St. Andrews, and there's a resolution of sharing of resources for sewer and water or any infrastructure sharing between us and East St. Paul as well. Because the one thing we know for sure is there's no water coming from Winnipeg, any of the communities.
Yeah. Sewer maybe, but
Not water.
not water.
And even sewer, they're restricting now.
No,
So there's an
yeah.
opportunity
Yeah.
to do some regional planning, and so we're looking at doing that level of regional planning. More than willing to share more as time.
What was
comes.
the capacity of
But
the
outside of
plant?
public. Some of this is private, so I can't get
Yeah.
much detail on the public.
No, that's true. But what's the capacity of the water treatment plant?
The capacity of the water treatment plant right now is at, I think, 3,000 REUs, residential dwelling units. But the opportunity is as part of this entire planning, we've also planned out an expansion for the regionals. The plant has been designed for further expansions. There's only 3 trains in there right now. I can take a 4th, as well as expand further to add more trains. And we've also identified a location where we could be looking at putting in a well field, similar to what Selkirk had done, so that you can service a large population. Now that well field, right now, we are well within our water licensing for the demand of water, that the drawdown we're doing from the underground water right now. And a new well locations have already been identified.
As well as
Yes.
plan for, cistern and.
Oh, yes, so as well, because what this used to be a sewage treatment plant, it's being decommissioned at this moment, it's being decommissioned and removed. And so in there, what we will be putting in is a reservoir.
Okay.
So that reservoir will allow for expansion to the west as well as to the south.
Councillor Boulanger.
James, if you know Lockport, like I think you know Lockport, if this developer is successful in doing what he wants to do there, not only currently and over 80 years has Lockport been a destination, if this project goes ahead, the province is also beautifying the whole infrastructure highway going through there, widening it, beautifying it, making it walkable. This community will be completely facelifted, and if someone comes here in 3 to 4 years, or whenever this developer, if he's able to be successful and get this going, this will be one of the nicest communities along that river, because all that land that Deepak showed you where the developer wants to develop is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is prime real estate. This community will exponentially flourish even more than it is now. It is just incredible, exciting to see what could happen here.
So you're talking about just the extension of
Everything,
Henderson Highway?
between the province redoing the road coming in,
Yeah,
to the developer developing behind the A&W where Deepak showed you, to sewer and water infrastructure going through there, to us selling water to St. Andrews. This whole cooperation of the region is what is always asked for by federal and provincial governments, and this is what we're doing. And what I'm saying is that this community goes the way we see it happening. If this developer is successful and we continue on this path, that community will be stunning.
And the feds have already put money in there because they've done the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, and the lock system there is unique. There's not too much, you know, around the province for that, you know, so it's a draw.
Can we walk on bridge?
yeah, no, there's a lot happened, and
Is it gonna happen?
exciting.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen.
And so the other part that we wanted to let you know about, we're always appreciative of federal government support when it comes to grants. And some of the other grants that we've been looking at making applications for are trails and connectivity. And so we're working along, we've been having some discussions with Pecos on this, connecting some of the major pathways that were originally there, along with our own trails system. So we worked with St. Andrews, and they've got a trail now, trail work happening from on the other side of the river, connecting from the bridge all the way up to past Selkirk. So, and we're working on the trail system on the other side of the bridge, connecting to the Duff-Roblin Parkway system. And so what theoretically, when it's all complete, not theoretically, when it's all complete, you will be able to walk, if you wanted to, from the Forks to Selkirk on a trail system, all the way through.
No, you guys have already got
Or
some
right of way.
trails connected into Bruce
Yeah,
Hill
yeah.
too, right?
There's some existing, yeah.
Right through that system. So this would
Just
connect
continuing
that
around.
entire trail system, and it would connect our communities to encouraging that next level of transportation.
And I've been a big supporter of the Trans-Canada Trails, so programs started under us and with Harper, and
Yes.
hope that we can continue to expand.
Yeah, so that would be the other part that we would be looking at, because the bridge, when it was built, it was expanded to accommodate active transportation. And so the province is now coming forward to put in a roundabout here at Henderson and 44, and putting in a trail, an active transportation in Lockport. So it will become a much more walkable, cycling and active transportation kind of community. Similar to what we're looking at doing on Colville here ourselves, working with the province.
What have you guys done with the old rail bed?
That's another discussion. We are under discussions with CMR. CMR is willing to sell us some lands on that. And they're also looking at abandoning some additional rail beds so that we'll be taking those over. The existing rail bed from East Selkirk to
East
Grand
Beaches,
Beach, basically.
right up the east, all the east beaches.
All these beaches, that has been turned into a trail for ATVs, snowmobiles, multi-use trail. It's part of that Trans-Canada Trail system. And we're looking at expanding that in further discussions with CMR as they look at walking away from some.
Place to be, St. Clements, it's the place to be.
Yeah, there you go.
Anybody else have anything? Deepak, you have anything else you want to share with James?
Yes. I only have one other big ask. If we could look at possibly increasing the gas tax portion to the province and to the municipalities would be great. That is a significant factor in our ability to do our projects. And the only other thing I want to do is make sure that it's recognized that the federal government did come forward with Building Canada funds, and we are building the South St. Clements Activity Center because of the support from the federal government.
I'll say this on taxes, you know, definitely we're going to be cutting the carbon tax and eliminating that. We are going to do, if we are forming government, a complete review of the tax code. It hasn't been done since 1976. It's incredibly complicated and it's regressive in a lot of ways, especially on the individual side, but even on the corporate side. So we'll be looking at the entire tax code and simplifying that. So that will have impacts on revenues and how we go about supporting municipalities like the gas tax fund. Something that we started and doubled, and hopefully continue to come back to the basics of what gas tax was originally meant to be, which is to help support infrastructure.
So, one last thing, and I'm done, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
And this is dealing with the tax system. What we're hearing from our residents is the impact of the current government's
Capital gains.
capital gains. It's having a significant impact on farmers, people that have milked the land forever.
Yeah, we're getting overrun with that. I thank Justin Trudeau for that one.
So do you guys have a plan, if you're gonna get rid of the carbon tax, is there something else, you're still gonna address that problem, aren't you? Are you gonna
Yeah,
do
so
something
we will
else?
have an environment policy,
Yeah.
for sure. We definitely have to address the impact of climate change, so we'll have a plan on that. But you don't fix the climate by taxing people, and it's proven it. The only time during the current administration that we've seen a reduction in carbon emissions is during COVID. Other than that, increased human activity, we have increased carbon emissions. And, picking losers and winners in industry isn't the way to go about it either. You have to have a combination of carrot and stick to bring about the changes that we need. And we think that innovation is the key to it. Carbon capture is going to play a major part. And we do believe in using Canadian energy to replace dirty energy in China and Russia and elsewhere. That our natural gas and ethically produced oil is a better option than what's happening in other places. And the use of things like nuclear, like small nuclear reactors, and using hydrogen and other sources of energy to replace coal, which is the primary driver of electricity in places like China and India. I don't think a lot of people realize, but Canada's #1 export to China isn't canola, it isn't wheat, it isn't pork, it's coal. And they're building a new coal-fired electrical station every 2 weeks in China right now. That's how fast their electricity grid is expanding, and they're doing it on coal. So that's what we have to replace. If we could send them liquefied natural gas, it could be a lot better for the environment.
It's funny you say that, because when we were visiting my daughter in Vancouver this summer, we went through the bay where these big cargo ships or whatever were loading something, and from a distance I couldn't tell what it was, but the ferry actually, we were going to Vancouver Island,
Yeah.
and we were crossing, the ferry kind of went closer, and I'm looking, and it was coal. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I guess we're still producing and selling coal. So I just saw that huge, these.
Yeah, so the big coal mines that we see in eastern Canada, especially in Atlantic Canada, pretty much all have been exhausted and shut down. But Saskatchewan and BC are going full bore.
Yeah.
And it's mainly to feed that the Indo-Pacific.
Yeah, it's Fernie area that they have coal mines, yeah.
Like, there's a lot of metallurgical coal that goes for steel production as well. That's part of that mix, and most of that comes out of BC. But coal is still a huge part of our mix. And we've been saying for some time that the industry is already there, but people aren't pushing it. Is going to what we call Canaflux, which is solidified bitumen. And you can take, and it's not wasting a bunch of energy and liquefying it like we do right now. Take it out, make it into a puck, throw it on a ship, you handle it just like you would coal. And you ship it around, and then the other countries will then liquefy it, refine it, and make use of it. And, you know, where we go, one of the plans is that we expand Churchill to actually do that. People, well, the environmental consequences, well, guess what, if a train derails with a bunch of Canapucks, you go up there and you shovel them up and throw them back on and away you go. And if a ship hits an iceberg, you go, oh, you're gonna have an environmental catastrophe. Well, if Canapucks fall off a ship in the Arctic or anywhere else for that matter, they float. You go up there, you sweep them up and throw them back. So it's actually the most environmentally friendly way to handle oil. And the world will still need oil because of the growth of population, even with the acceleration of electrification. There isn't a growing energy source that can handle that growth than actual traditional petrochemicals, right? So that's where we still have to continue to get better at carbon capture, more environmentally friendly in the production of it. But, you know, our electricity grid right now, to add a power recharging station for electric vehicles, and if you have 8 charging stations at one location, that's the same as powering over 1,000 homes. So we're, even in Manitoba, with all of our hydro, we have to expand our hydro dams. Like, we just finished Kias, but now Kanawapa has to come online just to handle all that electrification. And, you know, there's more and more of these coming along, right? And everything we do is with batteries. And so, and then there's a critical mineral part of that as well. So we have to have a very, you know, broad-based strategy on how we get everything to move towards electrification, but using the entire energy mix to make it happen. You just can't kill the oil industry like a lot of people want to do, because solar, wind will make it up. And they always say no to nuclear. They get nuclear is actually the cleanest way to get us up quick enough to handle the increase in energy consumption that's happening, not just in Canada, but around the world.
Just the waste that it produces is.
Yeah, that waste,
Oh
yeah,
my
and
God.
they're getting better at dealing with that from the both incineration and disposal, but you still have radioactive waste at the end of it. The nice thing about the small nuclear reactors is that you aren't going to have the same risk factor in powering it up like you do with the great big plutonium rods that we have in Bruce Power or Energy One that they have, or in Ontario, or everything's 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl, right? That risk factor has been eliminated with the small nuclear reactors. You can turn them on and turn them off, no problem. Flip a switch.
And you have something else.
Other resource we have here on the energy side, with coal, we have unlimited silica sand here.
Yes.
And why aren't they going solar? Like, isn't silica sand used for making solar panels?
Yeah, so you know, this is kind of a surprising thing. Like, we got the chance to build, and there is that project that looks like it's going to move ahead, hopefully in Selkirk, to build a glass for solar panels using the silica sand coming from up north here. But the panels itself still are being manufactured in the United States. We don't manufacture a single solar panel on a large scale in Canada.
Why can't we ship them in China, the silica?
Yeah, we should. Yeah. So again, you know, we're continue to get ourselves in a situation with the People's Republic of China, where they're holding our agriculture industry potentially hostage with canola tariffs because they're you know, unfairly subsidized and state-controlled electric vehicle industry, and just as America's done in many other nations. But we as Canadians have to get less dependent upon China, even though it's a huge economy and a lot of people. We can't allow them to hold sectors of our economy hostage whenever they aren't happy with Canada. And so pork and all of that, and being an ag producer, I know how important those markets are, but we have to diversify. We have to find other sources. Things are geopolitically heating up. It's not getting easier.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
Deepak?
Deepak, any closing words from yourself? Just
One more,
closing,
one more
closing
thing.
words.
I will get the copies of our original half application to you.
Yeah, please do.
And just so you know, we're submitting on the 13th for the half round 2.
Okay,
So we've qualified for half round 2 and we'll be submitting again.
okay. You say project.
Same budget, well, $400 million was added as across Canada for round 2.
Right.
4 billion for the first one, so we're hoping for at least some percentage of that 400.
And that's good that there is the second half of this app, because that is something you can generate there, because it's gonna be coming. So if there's anything, hey, you're gonna notice.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for coming in today, James, and I think we had a good discussion, and you've left us with some things, and we've given you a whole bunch of things to think about, so thank you very much. And I'm
Thanks
sure
for
that you're-
hosting, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure
Thanks for
that you
coming.
have a couple of other places that you're going to be going today. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be talking to St. Andrews tonight.
Yeah, you got to, yeah, they don't start till 5 or 5:30,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And you head back east when? Next
Saturday.
week? Saturday.
This Saturday.
Okay.
And hopefully I don't get stuck in Ottawa because of the airline strikes.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get to Ottawa.
Okay, thank you so much and have a good
Okay,
day.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's take 2 minutes for a coffee, you guys, if you don't mind. I know we haven't done very much, but I need coffee.
That one's on.
I thought this one was gonna get knocked over last night.
That's a new one.
Cheaper?
Stiff.
Yeah.
How do we separate them?
I think we should do more classes.
Book one.
How do you separate out? Okay,